Hello and welcome to the second edition of I am your host, Bison, and I am joined again today by my friend.
Speaking to you from the void, it's the Joker.
Hey, how you doing, mate?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad at all, really. I think we had a great debut. Talking about the amazing Rosemary, so that was really cool. And I am looking forward to talking about today's character. So just in case you're not aware, the format for this show effectively is that we talk about the characters of Impact Wrestling, our favorite wrestling promotion. And what we do is we pick a character each week. We discuss their past, present, and future, and then and that's the show basically. So we just basically have a good old chat about what they've been up to, how they debuted, what they've been doing since then, what they're doing at the moment, and where they're heading, where we feel that their characters should be heading in 2020. And we'll wonder where some of our predictions are right. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to go, really. And I'd like to hear what the fans think as well. If anyone has any views on it, by all means, drop a comment at the bottom.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great to see some of your comments popping up at the bottom once we put this out. And I think that, what we'll do is as time goes on, we will potentially start answering any questions that you might have, or, if you want to put something forward, but we're definitely, or even if you want to put a character for us to discuss in the future, we'd be very, very interested in finding out who you'd like us to have a chat about, and your thoughts on those characters too. So yeah, please don't forget to leave us a few comments. Okay, so today's show is going to be based on Joe.
It's going to be based on Rich Swann.
Yes, Rich Swann. The party boy, the party man. Yeah, we love everybody's a party. Yeah, we love it. We love Rich Swann. He's fantastic. Now, just to give you a basic rundown on Rich, he's an incredible talent. He's what, 28 years old now. He's married to the Impact knockout Sue Young, or Susie, as she's known at the moment. He has been around the business for a good 12, 15 years. He's worked for many promotions. I mean, we're talking, Dragon Gate, we're talking Evolve, we're talking MLW, we're talking NXT, CZW, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. And of course, pre-joining Impact, he was on the WWE roster with 205 Live, which was his last thing, and also before that, NXT, where he was the cruiserweight, where he was on 205 Live, where he was the cruiserweight champion. And then, obviously, that he got released, did a few indie promotions, and before you know it, he's signed by Impact Wrestling back in June, I believe. I think it was June 2008 was his debut, and that was against Trevor Lee. Do you remember the match, Joe?
I don't remember a huge amount about his early time at the company. I do. I remember. I know I was impressed with him way before I'd seen him in the Impact. I saw him at the WWE. I saw him in a couple of matches representing 205, but on Raw when they dumped it in the half-hour slot basically to fill some time, and I could see him there thinking this guy's got potential to be Intercontinental Champion, probably even the Tag Team Champion, because he's not really a world title of WWE. But I see him there. I see him there with Austin Aries and what they were doing with Austin Aries and what they did with Pac. Or if you want to jump back there and go, call him Neville, but he's Pac in my eyes. Guys that were killing it basically and making the main roster look fantastic, so they dumped them in the sideshow. Rich Swann is better.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think back before he debuted on Impact, he was showing that he was special. But I think he was, we do feel, I think that both of us feel he was definitely being held back a little bit because he wasn't necessarily what you would class as a WWE guy. I mean, you know, he would never have become world champion. I think this. I mean, we all know that, you know, they generally go for the bigger guys. I mean, it's only been more recent, you know, that they would potentially put a world title on, say, you know, someone like who was it that had it recently?
I think Jason had it recently.
Yeah, exactly. You know, smaller guy, fast, executive. You know, I mean, he. Again, you know, I mean, again, though, he's probably a little bit bigger than Rich. I mean, Rich is a small guy. He's more in the realms of Rey Mysterio. Now, I know in the past that they put it on Rey. But again, you know, I don't think at that point they had much choice, because Rey was just so big and so over with the crowd that they just, you know, didn't really have a lot of choice. They had to go with it. And you know, it was good at the time. But I don't believe, you know, they would put it on someone like Rich, you know, a character like Rich. I just don't think they would. I don't think he's the type of character that they would do it with. They wouldn't risk it, I guess. But having said that, you know, he's moved on. He's proved what an incredible wrestler he is. He's moved on to Impact. We're now enjoying the fruits of his labor. I think he is an incredible talent. And I think that, you know, his debut with Trevor was quite impressive. You know, it wasn't very long. I think it was at the time where Trevor was leaving the company. So I think it made sense from a company point of view that they came in, give him a win. You know, he was over with the crowd quite quickly, wasn't he?
Yeah, it did went a bit too quickly for me, and it was a bit disappointing to see Trevor Lee getting flattened near the end of his career, which was a shame, because Trevor Lee, in my eyes, was a potential world title contender. They've said to loads of times he's one of the best technical wrestlers on the roster that they had, and pound for pound, probably the strongest guy they had, and you hear all that, and you think they'd be doing more with Trevor Lee after the X Division run. Yeah, about two or three. One which wasn't overly memorable with Sunday Jack as his main rival, but Trevor Lee was really, really stand out, and he pushed Andrew Everett up a lot more as well. Andrew Everett was someone else that I was a huge fan of. I'd like to have seen him do more. I thought him and Rich Swann could have had a fantastic rivalry. Like Rich Swann and Phoenix could have had a fantastic rivalry if they pushed them in the right direction too.
Yeah, definitely. It's just I mean, it's a shame that, you know, at the end of the day, when Rich was coming in, obviously Trevor was going out. So, you know, I mean, it may even have been something that was kind of like, well, we know Trevor's going, we need to sign someone. So we've signed Rich. Let's make him look strong as Trevor goes out, kind of thing. And I think that's effectively what happened there. It was almost like, yeah, Trevor's going, but we replaced him with this awesome talent. You know, and I think that's kind of what they did with that. And you know, and I agree. I mean, we were discussing earlier offline that sometimes it's a little bit sad when you see, you know, a wrestler like Trevor. I think he had like 5 or 6 losses in a row before he went out, and it's a real shame, because when he was with the company, he was, you know, he was pretty good. I mean, he was badass. He had some great matches. And he was a mainstay. You saw him almost every week, you know, and he was X Division champ and etc. You know, he was a strong guy, and it is a shame that, you know, when they come to the end of their time, that they have to sort of kind of consistently lose over and over again. You know, I get that maybe the very last match that they have, that, you know, they would lose to, like, say, to an incoming talent, or, you know, I get that, and you have to make the talent coming in look strong. I do. It's just such a shame that you know, they almost made him look weak, probably for about 4 or 5 weeks before he went. And I think, you know, they could have let him, you know, at least win a couple of those matches. But hey ho, that, you know, that's the nature of the beast. That is the wrestling, you know, that's the wrestling business. You know, you have to continually make your talents look strong. And that's what they did in with the debut of Rich. He came in, he looked incredible. He had a great match. You know, was it a 5-star? No, but it was a good match that's, you know, introduced us to the type of stuff to expect from Rich. And let's face it, the guy's athletic, you know, he's got charisma. You know, he's an all-round great talent.
Yeah, for me, he was superstar of the year 2020-19. Not just X Division star. I actually voted for Ace Austin for that, but for me, Rich Swann was superstar of the year last year. And but we knew Tessa Blanchard was going to get it. But I put my vote for Rich Swann, and I put Rich Swann and Killer Cross as guys to watch for 2019 as well. Rich Swann from 2018, past halfway through 2018 when he started taking on Brian Cage, Michael Elgin, and Phoenix, which is fantastic. And he's put on 5-star matches since I can remember.
It's almost every match is sort of 4 or 5 star. The guy is incredible. But moving back to obviously his debut and moving on through that, we then went on to see him teaming with the Lucha Brothers. So it was like a 3-on-3 where they lost to OVE, which, you know, I think at that, so that was an incredible match, by the way. That again, you know, you've got 6 absolutely incredible wrestlers in there with Jake, Dave Christ, obviously Sami Callihan. You had the Lucha Brothers and obviously Rich Swann. You're not going to fail but to have an incredible match. You know, so that was an incredible match. I actually thought that the Lucha Brothers and Rich were going to win that. So when you get a loss that you don't expect, then the wrestling business or the promoter, is clearly doing his job, because it was definitely a result that I didn't expect.
Yeah, it made OVE look a lot stronger than they are now. I think Dave and Jake Chris are getting held back a bit too much, which is a bit of a shame.
I think the issue at the moment was that up until I think just before Christmas, Dave had an injury, so that's why. But it wasn't sort of widely known. It wasn't publicised. They didn't push it. It was just one of those things that he was injured, so they kept him in on the story, but you didn't see him in the ring. And that's why we didn't get. That's why we haven't had a lot of the tail end of 2019. We didn't have a lot of Dave. Hopefully, moving into 2020, we'll get a lot more. But I think that. I think that was an incredible match and showcased the talents really, really well of every single person that was in that match. And that is the key, is when everyone gets their opportunity to shine, then you know that, you know, you've got 6 great talents in the ring doing their thing. And it is great. I do think that with Rich, they did a very slow burn. You know, like we discussed Rosemary in our last match, and with her it was very much kind of, you know, here she is, we're throwing the decay thing at you, and it worked straight away. You know, like literally within a month or so it was big. With Rick, I think they decided to take a slower route and give him a bit of a slow burn, build him up. What do you think?
Again, the earlier part of his career is a bit of a haze at the moment. But I think the way it's been built up now, it has been, like I said, it's been pretty progressive, and it's one of the things that's really, really grown on me. I've been impressed with Rich Swann since he's come in, and they've built him up so he just doesn't get boring. They've constantly given him the right opponent to go against. They've given him the right match to have, and 2018, 2019 was just the year for Rich Swann in my eyes. They really built him up. I think the whole of 2018, although there was some incredible matches, was a real slow burn for his character, and they were trying a few different things. With the I think they went on. I think we saw him teaming with Matt Sydal. He didn't have any major lines at that point. He was then involved in some matches with Ethan Page, which again, you know, I think that then built into. I think Ethan was debuting at that point as well. But they then built that into a big Bang for Glory match, and that's when we started to see, I think, almost for the first time, him starting to team with Willie Mack. And then we had them
exactly. We had them defeating both Ethan Page and Matt Sydal at Bound for Glory. Do you remember that match?
Yeah, I do. I wasn't a huge fan of Matt Sydal teaming with Ethan Page. The gimmick wasn't really suited for Ethan Page, but it was, and it was holding Matt Sydal back a bit much, because Matt Sydal in my eyes was a potential world champion as well. But it worked in favour of Willie Mack, and it worked in favour of Rich Swann perfectly. You got to see the endurance of everyone, and you got to see the diversity that Willie Mack could bring to the ring if he hadn't been paying attention to him beforehand. And Rich Swann was just, again, killing it with his high flying ability and killing it with his technical ability. It was just, it's absolutely amazing. And such a pinch of the right Rob Van Dam, it was of the kind.
Yeah, I think they have a real good chemistry. I think when Rich and Willie get together, I mean, I don't want to talk too much about Willie, because I want to get into Willie a little bit more on another show, because I think he's an incredible character. He got some incredible skills in the ring. So I don't want to go too much into Willie Mack, but I think that they complement each other really, really well as a team. And again, moving forward, I think that really shows. So, I mean, that match came out. They came out on top. That was really good. He then went on to lose to Brian Cage, I believe it was, in the X Division championship. Yeah. So Brian, I mean, let's face it, we thought that would be the case. So he's gone in there. Brian Cage is then gone on to have his little reign as X Division champion. But we started to see a little bit more of this kind of relationship between Rich and Willie, and that's starting to really build. And there was a real nice chemistry in there, I think. I think that both of them got a nice chemistry, and they clearly are friends in real life. And I think that, and again, I think that shows with the North as well, actually, funny enough, with Josh and Paige. They clearly are friends, right? So, and I think that with Rich and Willie, those guys are clearly really good friends in real life, and I think the chemistry that you see on screen, sometimes is not necessarily, put on. It's real. Would you agree?
Oh, I definitely agree. I thought Rich Swann and Brian Cage, that for me was the time you knew Rich Swann was definitely going to be taken seriously as a singles competitor. So Rich Swann and Brian Cage had about 2 or 3 matches beforehand, and they beat the crap out of each other. They really laid into each other.
They did, you're right.
And Willie Mack really helped push Rich Swann's charisma up more, even though Rich Swann didn't really need it building up, but it shot it up more. You can see that Rich Swann was a guy who could talk, he could walk, he could dance, he could fly.
Yeah.
And Rich Swann built up Willie Mack a lot more as well. And
I agree.
They like you said, they bounce off each other, like Josh Alexander and Ethan. They bounce off each other. There's that real life connection between them.
Yeah.
They wrestle together, and they wrestle against each other in other places as well. So they know each other very well. But when you have that chemistry with somebody else in the ring and backstage or anywhere else, then you're going to work better rather than having random opponents thrown at you.
I mean, they went on. I think they've gone on to have, at this point in obviously in the timeline, they went on to have some really great matches with Lucha Brothers. I can't think who else they did, but I know that there was a couple of tag team matches in that moment where they were really good. But I do specifically remember that match against Lucha Brothers was really good. Unfortunately, they lost. But then at that time, the Lucha Brothers were so huge they were never going to lose. So that was an incredible time. It was starting to build that relationship between the two from a character standpoint. I think that worked really well. We saw real good chemistry. We then headed into Homecoming. Now, Homecoming for me was a great pay-per-view. I really enjoyed that pay-per-view, and I think that that match, it was an Ultimate X match, which at the time was for the vacant X Division Championship. And you know, what a match! I mean, that ended up being, you know, for me, an incredible showing for Rich, who then obviously went on to win in that match the X Division Championship, and that was the start of his reign as X Division champion. What did you think of that match?
That was fantastic. It was the right time to bring the Ultimate X back, because everyone was called for that last year. Bring the Ultimate X back. Bring the Ultimate X back. When are you going to bring it back? And when they announced it at Homecoming, for me, that was they put the right guys in that match. They Ethan Page, you wouldn't have expected to last. He was the big guy in the match, and he proved that. You know, like Samoa Joe, like Kurt Angle, you don't need to be a high flyer to take over the X Division in matches like that. And Rich Swann, he just like in most of his matches, he just outshone everybody else. You just couldn't take your eyes off of Rich Swann and where he was going to go. And it was the best time to start him off on a proper straight edge singles career line. If that sort of makes sense. I think I confuse myself a bit now, but that's not that hard.
Getting carried away, Joe. Getting carried away. So I think that you know, I think his reign was pretty impressive. I mean, let's face the facts here. This guy is an incredible high flyer. He's got mat ability. You know, he's an incredible high flyer. He's got some proper combination moves, which everybody, you know, appreciate and enjoy watching. And I think, you know, this then led into the first, what I would say was big feud, big storyline for him, which is it led into the feud with Sami Callihan and OBE. Now, you know, where Sami's saying, "Look, come on, Rich, remember where you're from, son. You know what I mean? You're part of us. You need to come and join. You need to come and join back with your family." And then we had all that stuff. I mean, I don't know how true any of this stuff is, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of it was. You know, don't get me wrong, kind of, you know, embellished and made more. But, you know, from what I can tell, a lot of his early career, obviously he spent in Ohio training with the boys. And I think that from what I can gather, it looks like, you know, he effectively, you know, took Rich in. Again, whether that's true, I don't know. But, you know, I think that storyline came across quite well. And of course, you know, at the end of the day, Rich was having none of it. He don't want nothing of this, the scumbaggery that goes on with OVE. He's his own thing. He's a happy-go-lucky. He's a party man. You know, he has fun. Unlike OVE, who just want to take over everything. You get what I'm saying? What do you think on that? What did you think on that feud, Joe?
I thought it was a good turning point for Sami Callihan as well. He was on a pretty slow start to the year, and this was the best way to really make everyone hate Sami Callihan again. It's hard not to. Sami Callihan was a guy you love to hate, and he was literally falling off the radar. Really, in my eyes, at the start of 2018, 2019, he was falling off the radar basically after his Eddie Edwards. So to bring up all the really personal issues with him and Rich Swann, I thought that was fantastic, because a personal rivalry is going to get over a lot more. It's going to be a lot more convincing if you do take backs and you let it all go in the ring. You let it all out there, and
it will come out. Yeah. I think that I mean the you know, the matches that we then, you know, or they weren't, you know, the situation that then the feud that then carried on was quite intense. And I think that, you know, you saw a different side to Rich, because Rich was sort of kind of, I think you could, you know, he was portraying that he was conflicted, because at the end of the day he did appreciate, you know, everything that Sami and the crew did for him, but at the same time, you know, that's not him. He's not a scumbag. and he cannot take that route. He cannot do that because it's just not him. And I think it went on for quite a while. It was a couple of months, a good 3 or 4 months that this feud went on. And I think, when it eventually came to a head, I think it was an incredible feud, incredible matches. I mean, we had street matches. We had, going off to the OVE compound or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
There was loads and loads of things. It was thrown into this, and it was great. We eventually, obviously, start to leave that feud behind. And then we start to see Rich really starting to come to the front. He's putting on every single match that he does is incredible. I mean, we're sort of moving 2019, second half of 2019, especially now. We're seeing him, have an incredible run as X Division champion. I've got on my notes here that his run was 194 days. So, he had a good solid run as X Division champion before he then started moving on to other things. Tail end of last year, we're talking, a lot more teaming with Willie, which I think, they're getting back to that side of things.
Yeah.
Which really well for them. We saw some incredible matches. I mean, who can forget now, for me, like one of the most incredible things that I've seen on wrestling TV, that gauntlet match where Rich came in and just took an absolute pounding, but was not gonna stop. And I think that day, if people didn't like him before or wasn't sold on this guy before, I think at that day completely cemented him as a future Impact legend. What do you think?
So I was banging on about Rich Swann being Superstar of the Year from before Rebellion when he took on Sammy Callahan. But again, like you said, the matches he's had against Johnny Impact up at some of the rest of the that rivalry was something else that really involved in the singles career. And when he eventually lost the X Division title and went back with Willie Mack, all of that, it helped keep Willie Mack relevant as well, because Willie was just going off the radar a bit too much as well. And Rich Swann, one of these guys that they bounced him back with Sammy Callahan and Willie Mack quite a lot, and it worked out in his favour, and it worked out in everyone else's favour as well.
Yeah,
and
no, I agree.
That gauntlet match where when he's up against Moose and he's up against Michael Elgin, I was glued to the screen, cheering Rich Swann all day, even though I knew it would eventually fall for Tessa Blanchard, because it was just clear cut how the rivalry with Sammy Callahan was going. But I mean, I was there screaming for Rich Swann to just knock out Michael Elgin, then knock out Brian Cage, and then see how he goes against Tessa Blanchard himself. But unfortunately, it didn't come to that.
No, I think there was no way that he was going to overcome Brian in the end. I think he'd taken too good beating at that point. But I think what we saw was we saw heart. We saw how much he wants it, how much he wants to be an incredible wrestler, how much he wants to impress his peers and the crowd and the company and everything else, because he literally gave everything. And he sold so well too. I mean, at that point, I fully believe that at that point the bloke was almost dead. Because how he just kept going, it was just insane. It was just the heart, the desire, everything was there. I mean, we had blood, we had everything at that moment. And like you say, and he did give Brian one hell of a test. And definitely kind of I think what I'd like to say is that the reason Tessa beat Brian at that moment was because Rich gave him a run for his money and wore him out a little bit. Let's just say he wore him out a little bit. And then when Tessa comes in, Brian isn't 100%. He's down to 50-60%, which then made life a little bit easier for Tessa to finish him off. So I think You know, I think I would like to have seen Brian come in a bit earlier so that he was even more fatigued. You know, so that gave you a little bit more of kind of like, well, you know, let's face the facts here. You know, if Tessa was taking Brian on one-on-one, the situation, you know, may have been different. But at this moment in time, he's come in like second or third in the gauntlet. He's had 2 or 3 people to deal with. You know, and by the time he gets to Tessa, you know, he's spent, and she's 100%. You know what I mean? That for me, as a story, that would have worked a lot better, and would have made it a little bit more credible that she's taken out twice her size. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've no issue with it from a story perspective. I've seen Tessa Blanchard and Brian Cage go at each other before at Wrestle Circus, and Brian Cage beat the crap out of her there with chairs, everything, and she held her own for a very long time. They went about a good 20-25 minutes against each other, and she eventually did lose. So, you know, she said that herself. She's the one who's trained with men more than women. So she's going to take a beating. She's going to dish out the punishment as well. And
yeah, definitely. But
one of the things. Sorry, you carry on.
So no, all I was going to say was, so I think one of the main things is that you know, from the tail end of 2019, that for me is one of the standout moments for Rich. You know, at the end of the day, that is the day where everybody suddenly went, wow, this guy is amazing. And I think, do you think that was when it really was? You know, I'm not saying that any of his previous stuff wasn't great, because it was.
Yeah.
But I think there's always that moment in any great wrestler's career where you say, that's where you suddenly became a god. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's where it impacted the nail on the head.
Yeah.
His matches against Michael Elgin prior to that have been, you could see he was someone who had the endurance to go all the way, and then in that gauntlet match, he basically broke Michael Elgin, which is quite ironic because he's unbreakable. He broke him. Michael Elgin just couldn't take the fact that he couldn't beat him, so he got himself disqualified instead. Which was that made me laugh, and I was just thinking, hey, Rich Swann's got his number there, and I was expecting them to start fighting each other for 2020, but they moved him on with Willie Mack again, and I was pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, I think you know, once that is the like you say, the pinnacle. That is where he's sort of kind of like made really sort of like set himself apart now. I think heading now into you know, 2020, you know, we saw that he obviously ended up with an injury. How true that is, I mean, if
it's nasty.
If it was a little bit exaggerated, which I believe it probably was, then I think it was also a really, really good move from Impact to them almost sort of kind of bolster Willie Mack to say, check out how great this guy is, you know. And it was, you know, and it also, to me, cements the fact that Rich is clearly really good friends with Willie, because he also wants Willie to shine, so he's happy for that to go ahead and be a part of pushing Willie to the forefront. I mean, that whole sort of kind of like, you know, the North were almost kind of like, you know, doing the psychological stuff, trying to get Willie to not believe in himself, you know, because they know that these guys are potentially a threat to their title reign. And I think, you know, we got two things here. You know, either, you know, we are going to get that split, or we're going to start seeing a really awesome run of, you know, Swann and Mack. I think that we are going to see a really interesting run now of Swann and Mack going for the tag team titles, and whether they're going to end up taking them, you know, I'm not sure, because, you know, the North are an incredible tag team. They are over, you know, with the crowd. I could see them maybe losing one of a best of three kind of scenario, you know, where we get
interesting.
You know what I mean, where we get a loss to Willie and Rich, and then, you know, we get a win from the North, and then we get that final kind of Slammiversary match where eventually the North kind of prevail, possibly, or it could go to, they could say, well, come on guys, you've had it now for a good 12 months to 18 months, let's give someone else a shot. Or they could then win the title, and then we've got this whole kind of like, well, the North aren't going to want to give them up, so they chase them back, and then maybe by Bound for Glory they win them back again. You know what I mean? I think we've got a good 12 months of tag team feuding here with Rich and Willie and the North. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, I do agree. I see, but I think Rich Swann's injury was genuine. The way Dave Chris landed on his back and smashed his knee into the mat. I saw the match back to the brewery.
Yeah, yeah.
That had me cringing because I've had problems with my legs myself. So I know I felt the pain when Rich Swann crashed to the mat. And also, just I'm thinking, oh god, he's out of this match. But I think they might have been a bit. Well.
I saw Bash at the Brewery myself. I saw the match. It did look nasty, but I've got a few friends, online with regards to that potential, and they're saying that they don't think it is quite as serious as it's been portrayed, which is good, which is really, really good news. I think you're probably right. I think it was a precaution not to wrestle him at Hard to Kill, because at the end of the day, and I think that played well but it worked in their favour, if you know what I mean, because it played well into the storyline and then gave Willie that opportunity to really, really shine. And let's face the facts, I don't want to go into Willie, but let's face the facts, that was an incredible match at Hard to Kill. And I really like the conclusion of it as well, because you had Willie coming back out after the match, and you had Rich saying, "Oh my god, are you kidding me? You're amazing," kind of thing. And I think we sort of kind of saw that almost rebonding, that affirming that those guys are a team moving forward, and nothing can break them, no matter what you do, what you say. They are the best of friends. They're a solid tag team, and they are going for those tag team titles.
Yeah, definitely. You can see Rich Swann's trying to keep a very, very unstable relationship together, because when he matched it, you can tell he's that the doubt they put onto him, like Ethan Page and John Dyke put onto him, is affecting his game now, and you can see Rich Swann's now trying to be peacemaker, and I think Willie Mack is probably going to start turning heel.
You think? Even after that?
I do. Yeah. I've not seen the most recent Impact episode yet, but I think eventually Rich Swann and Willie Mack are going to get the title shots, and they're going to lose the match. Rich Swann's going to try and calm Willie Mack down and say, "Oh, we'll get the next time." Willie Mack is going to flatten him, or he's going to walk away from him. I'd actually like to see those two face off against each other and see how they do as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's an interesting take on it as well. I mean, it'd be interesting to see where they go with it. I honestly believe that they've cemented their friendship now, and I honestly believe that that's what that's what all of that was about. It was building to say we're a solid tag team, and they're going to go out and we're going to see a good 6 matches out of this. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure of that, and I think we will get a title reign of Mack and Swann, and I think it will last until Bound for Glory, when the North will win them back. That is my prediction. There you go. I'm putting it on the line. That's my prediction. 2020, we're going to see Rich and Mack as tag team champions at some point, and we're going to see the North win it back at Bound for Glory.
Yeah, I've no doubt they're going to be tag team champions, and I'm pretty sure if they fall short then, or if they fall short afterwards, it's going to break Willie Mack and Rich Swann, and then they're going to start feuding against each other. Rich Swann's a multiple champion in the making, and so is Willie Mack.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, at some point, they'll probably break. They probably will. I mean, I'm not saying, we all know that Rich Swann and Willie are both incredible singles competitors as well. So, and that's the beauty about putting a team together like that. I mean, I think you've got chemistry between them as a tag team, which works really, really well. But at the same time, they're both capable of a singles run as well. And I think that could combine for it's a great thing for their personal careers, because they're versatile. They could do more. You quite often see tag teams that work really well together, but when you take them apart, they don't they don't get over. They don't get over as singles competitor. You see it a lot. You bring them back together, they get over. And the same thing you get quite often with singles guys who are over. When you put them together, it doesn't work. You don't get the chemistry. It doesn't work, and then you split them back up again. But I think in this instance, you have got two incredible singles guys that work incredibly well as a tag team. And who knows? I think the Mac and Swan connection is exactly what we need. I think moving forward, these guys, I think, will be putting on some incredible matches with the North. I think that is, I think it's inevitable. If come Bang for Glory and they end up losing to the North, we end up with some sort of kind of big argument, and then the tail end of 2020 we start to get this Mac Swan feud. I think that would be incredible too, because the bottom line is, like I said, they're both incredible singles competitors, and there's no reason why they wouldn't have an incredible feud also. So I think both those guys got incredible careers ahead of them. I'm hoping that we see both of them for the next 2 or 3 years. I know that both have signed multi-year deals. I think 2020 would be the 3rd year for Rich, I believe. So I'm not sure how many initially signed. So I'm hoping that I would imagine that 2020 would be when this will be his last year, if that makes sense, sort of kind of his current contract. So I'm sure that the contract negotiations will be coming to the fore very soon, and let's hope that we see a big announcement of a fresh multi-year deal for Rich Swann. There's hope. There's always hope. One other thing before we sort of kind of like wrap up today. One thing I wanted to say to you was that we've seen the charismatic character that, because we haven't really discussed his character too much, have we? We discussed his career, what he's done, where what he's doing at the moment, where he's heading, etc. But from a character point of view, what are your thoughts on the whole sort of kind of like persona that Rich puts over his character? Do you like it? I mean, I got to say, from a live perspective, I like it on screen. Don't get me wrong, on the show I like it too. But when you're live and the party music hits and Rich comes out and starts doing his dancing and all the rest of it, I'm not going to lie, the crowd, they go nuts. And I don't think it's just because it's Rich. I think it's the whole persona, the whole entrance. Everyone suddenly is like, welcome to the party. Everyone's going for it. You know what I mean? They're all getting involved, and I think it really, really, I think he really sells it well. And he's got some moves. The boy's got some moves, hasn't he?
He's fantastic. Well, I think Rich Swann's persona is one of the most original. It really does make him stand out from everybody else. I think he's naturally charismatic, and he's proved that a lot more in Impact than he has anywhere else. He's just naturally charismatic, and he's naturally a fan favorite, and he's naturally a babyface more than anything else. So he's going to be popular with fans.
Yeah, definitely. Fans go nuts. They absolutely go nuts. And to be fair, when you see the fans going nuts, it adds so much more to him as a character. And I think the more that the crowd go nuts, the more he sort of kind of brings his character out. And it just, yeah, no, I think his character is definitely a real big part of the appeal, his charisma. You know, he is charismatic, man. You know, he is definitely charismatic. He's a great guy. You know, I was actually lucky enough at the New York tapings to bump into him when we went in early. And you know what, it was him and Sue, actually. So him and Sue, they were having a good old chat. Bumped into them, and he was like a real genuine guy and really nice. You know, like the character that he is. It's almost like all you've done is you've taken your personality and turned it up like to 10 kind of thing. So I think that again, you know, is exactly what you need. You know, just take what you have. And I think that sometimes that's where people fail in their characters, because rather than saying, okay, well, you know, what am I as a person, and let's just ramp that up and then see if that works. I think some of the best characters in wrestling genuinely are that character. You know what I mean? They actually are that. They're like that in real life, but it's just amplified. You know, I think The Rock said it really well, actually, in one of in that Fight With My Family film. Take who you are and turn it up.
Yeah.
Boom. You know, and all of a sudden, you know, you've built character. You've become this person that, you know, ultimately you are anyway. But it's just with the volume turned up, kind of thing. So I think that worked really well for him. You know, he is who he is. You know what I mean? He is that character, and he's a lot smaller than you realise as well. Because I mean, I'm 5'10". I'm not massive, but I'm not sure what he is, but like he was a little bit lower than me. So I would imagine he was probably about 5'8", 5'9", maybe. But you know, he's a lot smaller than you realise when you actually stood next to him. You know what I mean? And that also is a testament. That's also a testament to him, because when you see him on the screen, he's larger than life. You know, I'm not saying he looks big. You know, he just looks big, but his character makes him larger than life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You can tell he's just a genuinely nice guy, and he's one of these guys that does definitely have a mindset of what you want to be and how you portray, like Sami Callihan does and Tessa Blanchard does. They know what they want to portray, and Rosemary as well. They know what they want to give the audience, and they carry it forward.
Yeah.
As the character.
I mean, I can't imagine how many times, just a little one on Sammy and Rosemary there. I can't imagine how many times they've stood in front of a mirror and promoed. Could you? Because sometimes some of those things that they do, you know, you have to think, you know, the facial expressions, the little nuances, the little things that they do in their promos. You know, they must rehearse that. They must look in the mirror and say, what would it look like if I did this? Would I look like an idiot, or would I look sinister? Would I look like a badass, or would I just look like a twat? You know what I mean? It's kind of, they have to, I just can't imagine how many times that they've promoted in mirrors to really get those characters down. And I would imagine Rich has probably done that a lot too, because he's sort of kind of like got that whole big smile and that big sort of kind of like exaggerated way of talking, and you know, with the change of the tones in his voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And creating that like that grit as well, you know, that grit in the voice, like Sammy does, you know, because when you listen to normally, he doesn't have that Sammy Callahan character voice, if you know what I mean. Like his voice is like that, but it's not. But when he does a promo, it's really kind of like husky and really gritty. You know what I mean?
He's really pissed off.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I just can't imagine. I just think to myself, you know what? They must spend hours in the mirror perfecting this stuff. And it's not only that; it's also kind of like, you know, getting over the embarrassment as well, getting over the fact that, you know, you are portraying a character and you have to get so into that it becomes you. And I think that, you know, your Sammy Callahans, your Rosemary's, your Rich Swanns, your Ethan Pages. I mean, Ethan Page is another one. I mean, you only have to watch his vlog, actually, just slightly to see the real Ethan, or Julian, as his real name is. You know, so kind of like, you know, you see a real happy-go-lucky Ethan, whereas
he's hilarious.
In the show, you see a heel Ethan. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of, you know, you can see how they can sort of kind of like switch it on and off, and I think it works incredibly well. And again, Rich is one of those people. I would love to be the fly on the wall when they're in the bathroom doing the promo in the mirror. And you know, perfecting those characters. I think it would be really cool to see. But we're coming up to 50 minutes, my friend. I think that what we need to do is we need to have a little bit of a wrap up. I think we've had a great show today, and I think it's again, if you know, it's been great to have you with me again today, Joe. I think we've had some interesting stuff all the way through, but I am the Bison, and if you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter account is at JBHawk. Please don't hesitate to give me a follow. Joe, what about yourself?
Do you want to step into the void? Follow JOK empty space on Twitter, but you tread in at your own insanity's sake. Just do one.
Fair play. So give us, you know, it'd be great to see some comments. So please leave us some comments. We'll have a read through, maybe some suggestions on characters that you think you'd like us to discuss and talk about. And yeah, you know, please don't hesitate to share and like everything that we do. Get it out there. Let's have some fun. I'd like to also, once again, thank the Total Nonstop Impact guys. Don't forget to give them a listen every week. And also don't forget BQ over on the Impact Lounge as well. So all that said, we look forward to talking about another character next week. Obviously, we're going to save that. We know we're going to talk about. We're going to save that till then. It's a big surprise. And yeah, all the best. Take care. Speak to you guys soon.
Take care, guys.